Hello everyone. The book I've chosen to share with you is Rooftoppers by Catherine Rundell. It's a book that I shared with my children when they were younger. We enjoyed reading it together. We chose it after reading the blurb on the back. It made us want to read more. Wanted a mother. Everyone tells Sophie that she was orphaned in a shipwreck, but Sophie is convinced her mother also survived. When no one believes her, Sophie sets out to prove them wrong. On the run from the authorities, Sophie finds Matteo, a boy who walks tightropes and lives in the sky. In a race across the rooftops of Paris, will they be able to find her mother before it's too late? A beautiful story about pursuing your dreams and never ignoring a possible. It made us want to find out more. I'm going to start and read just a few pages from chapter 4. Now, Sophie is living with somebody called Charles. Now, Charles was actually on the boat that sank, and he was the man that rescued Sophie, and Sophie has been looked after by him ever since. This part of the story is when they were living in London. The original cello case, Sophie's life raft, was kept at the foot of her bed. For her 11th birthday, Charles sanded away the mildew and bought some paint. "What colour?" he asked. "Red. Red is the opposite of sea colours." It was difficult for Sophie to love the sea. Charles painted the cello case the brightest red he could find and set a lock on it. She stacked her precious things inside and midnight snacks. She opened it only as a treat, or if she had one of her dark sea nightmares. If Sophie had known how important the cello case would prove to be, she would probably not have stored honey in it, which always managed to leak. But she did not know. It is impossible, Charles always said, to know everything. Charles warned her not to think too much of the cello case. "Be careful not to treasure the wrong things in life," he said. "We cannot tell if it's rightfully yours, Sophie. You may not be able to keep it. Someone may claim it." "Yes, I know," Sophie grinned. "Somebody will claim it. My mother will, when she comes." Sophie spat on her palm and crossed her fingers for luck. It was like a reflex. She spat and crossed them 100 times each night. "The case may not have belonged to your mother. It might have been snatched up by her as the ship went down. Women very rarely play the cello, Sophie. In fact, I have never heard of a woman who does. A violin is more usual for a woman." I don't agree with that. I know lots of girls and women who play cello. "No," said Sophie, "it was a cello. I know it was. I remember her fingers on the bow." Charles bowed his head in a courteous nod, as he always did when he disagreed. "I remember the ship well, Sophie. I remember the band, but I do not remember, Sophie, any women with cellos." "But I do." "Sophie, no. The band was made up of men with moustaches and greased hair. I remember, Charles, I do." "I know." Charles's face was too sad to look at. Sophie scowled at her ankles instead. "But dear heart, you were just a baby." "That doesn't mean I don't remember." "I saw her, Charles. I really did. I remember the cello." The arguments were always the same. How did you make people believe you? Sophie thought. It was too slow and too unwieldy. It was impossible. "I saw her floating. I did." She balled her fists. If she'd not loved him so much, she would have screamed at him. "And yet, my child, I did not see her. I was there too." He sighed so deeply that his breath ruffled the curtains. "I know it's hard, Sophie. Life is so hard. My goodness, life is the hardest thing in the world." That is a thing that people should mention more often.